because I was 37 years old, so I was considered high risk. And before I even knew if he was a boy, which I was really waiting on a boy, I learned that he was sick.
Nathan was our third child, and he was the baby of the family, and he was, his kindergarten teacher described him as being a very spiritual child, even before he got sick.
I took some time to try to figure out if I was going to proceed in the pregnancy or not, because there was like some people do abort. That wasn't an option for me.
He tolerated it all so well, and such a great attitude, and didn't give us a hard time about all of his doctor's appointments and his chemo and getting poked and radiation, the whole thing. He was very, very brave.
They didn't know what to do with us at the hospital because they said, you'll get 2 hours if you're lucky. And I just remember preparing myself mentally for this next step.
But ultimately they did a follow-up MRI, and they saw a small area of progression in his brainstem. And that was when we had the hard talk from our neuro-oncologist that there wasn't anything else that we could do. The best thing we could do for Nathan would be to take him home with hospice, which is not words any parent ever wants to hear.
But then Deetra came to the hospital. And I don't know. She gave me her phone number, she sat there with me, and it was just good for somebody to say, I know how you feel. Because she knew. And that's what I needed. Because then nobody else knew how I felt. Because you have a baby, your baby not sick. So you don't really know how we feel. But she did.
We got home Friday afternoon, and they were here. They met with us. We met with an intake nurse first, who just got us set up.
I told the Lord, I said, I don't know how, I understand that he's sick, and I accept that. But what I don't know is how I'm gonna leave the hospital without a baby. And so he allowed me to go home with Sebastian. And we had him for 63 days. I counted every day.
You know, you think of hospice as just a way to help you die, but they weren't, obviously they were helping us along that path, but their goal was to get him to his best and hope to get him to a baseline, and hoping that his best was better than where he was when he came home from the hospital, that maybe with adjusting medications and doing other things that we'd be able to get him to a better quality of life than he had at that point in time.
Then I met Alan. Alan was the hospice nurse. And I wrestled with a hospice nurse. I don't want that. But they were the best family that I had, because they didn't look at Sebastian like he was gonna die.
But our child life specialist was important for me and for our other 2 children. Also worked with them to see where they were and how they were feeling, and to educate them about what was happening. And she was also our memory maker. She made early on made a thumbprint necklace for us, and a plaster Paris hand replica, and things that were and are really important now that he's gone.
For the morning that he passed, I packed him up, I put him in the car, and I took him to school. I took him to drop off the girls at school. They were so happy. Happy that he rode with them to school. And they got out the car, they went into class, they told everybody their little brother was in the car and drove for them to school. And then, you know, I believe that he passed somewhere, because when we got back home, he had already passed.
They assured us, you know, that we were going to be able to handle this, and it just felt good to know we weren't alone in that process. But as Nathan's breathing became more and more difficult, I told my husband that I really wanted to hold him. He was in the hospital bed, and my husband said, you need to do that. You need to hold him. That's where he started, and that's where he'll finish, is in your arms. And so, you know, we just got complete support about that we needed to do what was right for our family. And he picked him up and put him in my arms, and he struggled for a while longer, maybe an hour and a half or so. At the end of that hour and a half, it was clear he was about to take his last breath, and on his last breath, he smiled at everybody twice. 2 big smiles. Like the first one, we were like, did he smile? And then he did it again, just to, I think, to let us know that he was okay, that he was gone, but he was gone to a better place, and that this fight was over. So
They were a great benefit to me. I will always be grateful